Yama, everyone. Hello from Australia.
Hello, Yama.
We are here in Queensland at the EMDR Australia conference, and I'm happy to introduce you to my new friend, Tracy Lynch, who I got to know online before the conference, and meeting here at the conference in person has just been amazing. So tell us a little bit about your EMDR practice, your background, and your podcast that I was on.
Thank you. Well, Yama, and this is my new sis, we say, with our mob here in Australia. And so I run a clinic in Newcastle on a Awabakal land and doing mostly intensive EMDR work. And every second week I get in a very small plane and I fly up to a remote Indigenous community, Ningambar country, and I also do intensive work up there, but in a different way because the complexities are different to suburban Newcastle. And I have recently started a podcast called Understanding EMDR Therapy, and because we turned 21 and we were adults, we were able to have more adults and all different other
age parts, yes,
on our show, and that's how we met.
And it's been lovely, and I really highly recommend the entire podcast. And the episode we did was lovely. And on that episode, you called it a yarn about dissociation. Y-A-R-N. Of course, here in Australia, you'd say yarn.
Yarn.
We Americans might be likely to pronounce it as yarn, but I'm fascinated with the concept of a yarn. And if you can tell my friends here who follow me on social media what that is in traditional Aboriginal Australian context.
Yeah, sure. So in traditional Australian Aboriginal context, a yarn is a culturally safe conversation, and it's an unraveling of ourself. So when you think about yarn, like, because we call it wool here, right?
Yeah.
But you mob over there call it yarn, and it's that unraveling in a safe way. Non-Indigenous Aussies have also taken that word on. So they would say a yarn is a friendly, safe conversation. Yeah.
And it's interesting because after you taught me the word, it kept showing up everywhere in my life. I mean, yes, I've been doing a lot of reading and viewing about Australia, but even another friend of mine in her work on culturally attuned therapy talked about the yarn. And I'm just fascinated with how I've experienced it here, because even in some of the EMDR conversations we've had, we've referred to it as we're having a yarn.
Having a yarn. And we also sometimes have yarning circles.
Yes.
Where again,
which this is the symbol of it.
Yes,
Tracy lovingly gifted me.
Yeah, this is the symbol of a yarning sort of connecting circle, and these are emu feathers. So a yarning circle is an intentional time to come together and share our stories in a safe way. And we might say we're going to have a yarn up. And that also just means that we're going to get on the yarn and we're going to really just connect. And it's often in a deep unfolding way, like that unraveling. Yeah.
And is the intention, what is the intention? Does it depend?
Yeah, I think in the yarning circles, it's truth-telling, both our own truth-telling and maybe truth-telling to inform others what we're noticing. And then just general yarning, the intention is to be with and connect. Yeah. I notice too, when I'm working with First Nations people and I'm doing EMDR, it's important for them to have the place to yarn during the process.
Let's hear more about that. That's fascinating.
So sticking with sort of standard protocol, but adapting it so it's culturally safe. Because if I say you can't speak, that is almost like, in one sense, cutting off our arms, because that means I lose my connection. Yeah. So I'm during BLS. It's much safer if they are yarning through what's happening, and then I'll come back and say, and out of that yarn, what's the most important thing there for you?
Beautiful.
Yeah.